Hi, my name's Joe Bruton. Bruton Vintage Motorcycle Restoration and Service. Been restoring and working on motorcycles for 37 years. The first shop I applied at, I got hired. Stayed there for 7 years, and it was a Norton Moto Guzzi Ducati dealership. First thing I ever worked on was an aerial square four. Not something that a beginner should be working on. Putting a cylinder on an aerial square four is not very easy. And of course I broke a ring. But then it went from there to Kawasaki dealership. And I ran the service department at a really, really fun family-owned business, and who happened to be into road racing. And so it turned out to be a 7-day-a-week job for 3 weeks of the month, and we had 1 day off a month. But when you go to the racetrack and you find out you're not as fast as what you thought you were, and you decide to become a mechanic for someone who's really good, you can't imagine the satisfaction and joy and the stress of every time he goes out he wins. And over the 5 years that we raced AFM and ARA and AMA Nationals in California, it was really, really rewarding. And then, the boss, we did good enough. We were the number 3 dealer for sales for the Western United States in 82 and 83. We'd take the whole month of August off paid. And he would say, take a GPZ 1100 and go to El Mirage Dry Lake and see how fast you can go. And it was a wonderful one-arm boss, Earl Roloff Sr. Earl Roloff Jr. was the rider. And we ended up going 147 miles an hour in 1981 on a stock GPZ 11 with no fairing. And, the next year we took our modified 82 bike and went slower. So the people that you meet at El Mirage in Bonneville, everyone wants to help you. When you go road racing, everyone wants to know your secret, and no one shares any information. But I've been very fortunate to have worked with some really knowledgeable people over the years. Rob North in California, while I was at the museum, spent a lot of time with John Surtees. He helped so much in gaining knowledge and just the vast array of motorcycles that I've had the opportunity to work on with no manuals, no formal training. You learn as you go. So over the years, 17 at the museum, there's been some really challenging moments and some really rewarding moments, a lot of championships, a lot of late nights, a lot of driving all over the country from race to race to race, and then from the race team to restoration. So you take that knowledge and experience, and then you get to apply it to customers' motorcycles who people use after you work on them. They take something that they parked when they graduated from high school and put it in their garage. They didn't touch it for 18 years, and then they find out I'm here and they bring it in, and you have it running in 2 hours. And when you call them back up and they come down and they hear that motorcycle run that they haven't heard in 18 years, and then they give you the go-ahead to do more, that is very rewarding. And it doesn't matter if it's an old bike or if it's a new bike. Every person that owns a motorcycle, that motorcycle is special to them. The aero coil, that's the best stuff in the world. You can't work on old stuff without aero coil. And Dale Waxler from the Wheels Through Time Museum taught me all about that. this is a motor out of a 1918 Indian. And it's not the original engine that came with the bike, but it's of the same year, and someone freshened it up probably 50 or 60 years ago. Moisture got in it. It was all locked up because it has cast iron pistons, cast iron rings, cast iron, everything is cast iron, except for the engine cases. The quality of the technology and the metallurgy that they used in the teens and 20s and even into the 30s is unbelievable. You true it up, and the way you true up these old cranks is with a big brass hammer, and a square and a dial indicator and a big brass hammer. You just smack it. And we're able to bring all of these original pieces and put it in an original chassis that was used as a distance racer from like Chicago to New York, which would be kind of like endurance racing today. Just because it has drop handlebars, they think, oh no, that was only used in board track. No, it was whoever owned the bike wanted at the time. Most of the old motorcycles are no longer original anymore. And it's up to the museums and the people making reproduction parts and going overboard to make them look, like it just rolled off the showroom floor. But I would rather have one with no paint on it and be original with all of the original fasteners and hardware, whether they're rusty or not, even though I've got the CAD plating and the, Parkerizing and everything that you can do to bring the hardware back to like brand new. When a motorcycle is 100% original, as it would have been in 1918 or as it was used in the late 20s or even into the 30s, that is really satisfaction when you can make pieces, and because you really can't find them anymore. I mean, you can go to the swap meets and all the old stuff's gone. You can find old stuff for Japanese bikes and some Aramakis, Italian Harleys, but the real early American parts, they're hard to find. And so you have to have a little bit of knowledge of who works with them, who's been hoarding some of these parts over the years, and who's generous enough knowing that, okay, if they sell you that part, or if they even give you that part, had parts given to us to help fix a motorcycle and bring them back to life. Because they love and are enthusiastic about motorcycles. But, it's the enthusiast and the man that spent his whole life and is now 70 years old and still an enthusiast and still has a barn full of parts and pieces and all about the originality that keeps this sport and era of going. And I could have left the word vintage off of the name of my business, but I love vintage stuff. I love old stuff. Restoration and service could have covered it. Because even modern motorcycles, in the condition that a lot of people let them get to, you end up doing a lot of restoration, even in, newer stuff, to bring it back to the way it should be. Because they take pieces off and they throw them away, and that's the worst. That's the worst thing that people can do, is take original parts and throw them away. Because 30 years from now, someone's going to be looking for that part. Whether it's scratched, everything can be repaired.